country of South Africa is a land filled with ancient cultures and incredible wildlife of all shapes and sizes. Here, two young explorers are on a very special adventure. Melua and her brother Luca are on a wild voyage of discovery, with plenty of interesting characters to meet along the way. Their journey takes them to some of the most amazing places on our beautiful planet, with the promise of fun, mystery and excitement at every turn. Join Melua and Luca on their South African Kids Safari.
Kids Safari!
Today's journey takes Luca and Melua somewhere very, very special to see something extraordinary. Deep into the dry desert of the Northern Cape of South Africa, where some of the hardiest and most beautiful wild animals roam, lies the Hakskeen Pan, and on it, a secret base filled with scientists.
I heard we were on the spoor of a bloodhound.
We soon found out that this bloodhound wasn't a dog.
Although named after a dog, the bloodhound is in fact a mesmerizing mix between a car and a rocket ship. And the scientists here on the Hakskeen Pan have big plans for this incredible vehicle.
I never expected that bloodhound to be so big.
To make it the fastest moving vehicle on land means it's going to need a lot of power. And the only way to get that power is with big engines.
I was pleased to meet Andy Green, the fastest car driver on Earth.
And Andy is the only guy to ever break the speed of sound on land.
Hello.
My name's Luca.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm the driver of the Bloodhound land speed record car.
Can you tell us about your car?
Yeah, of course. The car is here in the Hakskeen Pan in the Northern Cape of South Africa. Best racing surface anywhere in the world ever is here. This car is planning to do 1,600 kilometres an hour right here in the Northern Cape. Driven by this jet engine made by Rolls-Royce. At very high speeds, it's running on solid metal wheels. There's one of those on each corner. Those metal wheels are designed to rotate at up to 10,000 times a minute to survive the forces at 1,600 kilometres an hour. And it's not just about going fast, but we've also got to slow down. The desert is almost 20 kilometres long, but that will only take 2 minutes at peak speed. So we've also got brake parachutes. We ran the car this morning. This is where the parachute comes out, and this is the backup parachute just in case we have a problem. So this is what makes the car go. This is what makes the car stop. For next year, we're going to fit a rocket in there for next year to go even faster.
How big is the rocket going to be?
The rocket itself, the actual rocket motor is really small, but all of the equipment to make it work, so the gases and the pipework and the pumps, is going to fill this tube all the way down, about halfway down the car. So it's going to be about 5 or 6 metres long in total.
A fast car with a jet engine and a rocket, that's better than Batman's car.
It sure is. And with the rocket fit securely in the back, it's probably faster too.
We are already testing the rocket engine in Norway. It's really a powerful machine, and it really will be an amazing sight here on the desert to see actually both engines being fired at the same time.
So what are the safety features of this car?
Yeah, really good question. This is probably the safest land speed record car ever created. And to give you an example, this is the cockpit. This is where I sit to drive the car. And around me is 200 kilograms of carbon fibre. So that makes it the structural centre of the car and makes this the strongest cockpit ever created for a motor racing car.
So all of this is just carbon fibre?
All of these panels, all the way down to the nose, all carbon fibre, and it goes all the way back to the middle of the car, and then the back half is steel, aluminium, titanium, some very, very strong, very lightweight, very sophisticated metals that protect the engine and the airflow at the back. But the real structural strength here is the cockpit in the middle, which is where I sit.
Do you ever feel like it's claustrophobic?
No, but that's partly because, first of all, I'm used to flying jet fighters where the cockpit's quite small. And secondly, I actually helped to design this cockpit. So every single thing is exactly where I want it. It's the right size, it's built around me, it's the right shape for me. So far as I'm concerned, I am very, very comfortable in there.
What do you do when you're not racing?
My full-time job has been flying jet fighters for the Royal Air Force back in England. And for my holidays, the rest of the time, I go sailing, much more relaxing.
Talking to Andrew Green was very inspiring. It makes me want to dream of things I could do when I grow up.
A project like this one takes a lot of very smart, very qualified people to put together. Each scientist at the Hakskeen Pan base is a specialist in what they do. From engineers to rocket scientists, expert drivers to jet engine engineers. Each person has a special important role to play in creating the super vehicle. It all needs to be planned and supervised, from the giant jet engines to the tiniest nuts and bolts. Every component must be perfect to make sure nothing can go wrong.
I'm glad I like mathematics, so one day I can become an engineer on a project like this. What do you need to study to become an engineer on a project like this?
Well, it's really important to study hard, and what's really good is to study physics, maths, and your sciences. That's all really useful for working on something like this. The main thing is to stay curious and keep asking those questions why. The more you ask why, the more you understand. And that's what you need to know to solve problems like making a supersonic car.
What was your favourite subject in school?
Actually, I really enjoyed maths and physics. So I studied that, and then I turned to engineering when I went to university. So that's how I got into engineering.
How long did it take you to build a car like this?
So the project's been running for a little over 10 years, and that's because it takes a long time to design and then build the car and then test it. So there's a lot of thought that's gone into how to build this car.
This project isn't just about breaking land speed record. This project's about inspiring people to do engineering, because when you look at the bigger picture, you ask yourself why are we sending a jet rocket car down the desert? What's the good of that to the world? But the reality is, if you look at the following that we've got and how inspiring this is to get people involved in engineering, then that's the reason for doing it. The world has got a lot of problems, environmental problems, and they're going to be solved, I believe, by engineering and scientists coming up with new things.
And with so many keen minds working together to solve problems on a daily basis, what better way for engineers to test their skills?
Could you tell us what made you invest your money in a project like this?
We've been interested in the project for a long time. Ian's followed it since he was quite a lot younger, only a little bit older than you are now. And he's been really interested in seeing what's happened with the Bloodhound over the years. And when the opportunity arose for us to invest some money in it, we thought it was a really good thing to do. And we're sure that lots of children and young people around the world would also enjoy following it. And we want to get people interested in the engineering industry.
Where is this car going to go when you finish using it?
I think it'll come back to the UK, and then we need to make some alterations to it. They need to fit a rocket onto the back of it then to push it through the even faster speeds that it needs to get to.
This time, the Bloodhound team have come down for a test run to see what adjustments need to be made before the rocket is used to shoot the vehicle to supersonic speeds.
It's very, very safe. So unlike an aircraft, when this thing runs, it doesn't take off, therefore has to land again. The best thing that can happen with this car, if any problems happens, you just turn the engines off and it will roll to a halt. So very, very safe. Andy sits in a safety cell. He's got breathing air, he's got fire extinguishers. We've got a rescue team that comes in when he stops.
At speeds close to and sometimes over 1,000 kilometers per hour, a lot can go wrong. That's why an entire team is assembled who focus just on the safety. Getting the car to the start line is also quite a long process. That's because the car doesn't drive like normal cars, and it needs to be transported behind another vehicle to the start line. Up in the watchtower, there's another group of people responsible for making sure the whole process runs smoothly on the ground.
I'm the voice of control. So when Andy gets out there and he's on the track, we work hard in here to make sure all of the key things are in place in order for him to operate safely. So we keep an eye on the wind and make sure the wind is in the right direction and speeds, and it's up to Martin, who's the operations director, to have the final call to say, you know, it's too windy, he can't go.
With all hands on deck, the team is just about ready to launch. Safety, check. Now for the final tow to the starting line. A 16-kilometre strip on the pan that has already been totally swept clean of any loose rocks that could affect the car. Luca and Melua stand in anticipation for the big launch. The team checks the car one last time, while the film crew are ready and waiting too. Before getting in the cockpit, Andy needs to make sure he puts on all his safety gear. Even though he's inside the vehicle, the G-force from the speed at which he's going means a helmet is imperative. In the final moments, everyone holds their breath. And off it goes.
The sound of the jet was incredibly loud.
The big jet engine hauls the Bloodhound vehicle down the 16-kilometre track. The power of the engine and speed of the car leaves behind a giant sandstorm trail. Inside the cockpit, Andy is calm and makes sure there's no sign of overheating. And he's done it. Andy and the Bloodhound have reached their goal for the day, over 1,000 kilometers an hour. That's close to 4 times the maximum speed of regular cars. It's a big win for the team. Once it has stopped completely, the team runs in to check how the drive has affected the Bloodhound.
If you look back at the tracks behind me, you can actually see where I just touched the wheel lock, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So I know exactly what braking limit is in this car, and everything else handled really, really nicely. Car is dead stable going down the track in a headwind. So minor overheat to look at, everything else great.
It has been a successful day for all here at the Hakskeen Pan. After each and every drive, the scientists learn something new that they will continue to improve on until finally the Bloodhound LSR reaches its goal, to be the fastest vehicle on Earth. Join Melua and Luca on their next exciting kids safari adventure.
If you want to watch any of the movies that we've made, you can watch them on our channel called lionmountain.tv.